Safe trip back.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Smaulgld live streams on YouTube. It is June 11th, 2018. Well, gold closed today at $12.97. It was off $2.30. Silver closed up 3 cents, down 3 cents at $16.88. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies fell dramatically during the trading session, the normal trading session, but have since rebounded somewhat. And the current prices of Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin right now is at about almost $6,900. Ethereum at $533, Bcash at $963, EOS at $1164, and Litecoin has rebounded to $107. Litecoin had briefly touched almost $100, and Bitcoin was down near $6,500. So, big drops in cryptocurrencies, little movement in gold and silver. Today we're going to be talking about the Texas Gold Bullion Depository, which opened on June 6th. And I've had a lot of questions on what that depository is about. And we're going to go into some detail about what the plans are for the depository, how it works, how it's different than other depositories, and what the plans are going forward for it. Also, some housekeeping issues for Smaulgld. This show is on every night now from 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. On Wednesday, we'll have Matt from Silver Fortune on. And on Friday, we will have Philip Kennedy from Kennedy Financial. If you have any topics you'd like to discuss with those two gentlemen, or just any topics, please let me know. You can shoot an email to smaulgld@gmail.com, and we will cover them on the YouTube channel. You can find all the prior live streams under right under the live stream tab, so it's pretty easy to find. And we've done about 4 of them so far, and they've been pretty well received, so we're going to continue to do them nightly. And of course, you can participate during the live stream, and you can also send in questions in advance. And of course, you can comment on the YouTubes as they get published. Now, when I finish a live stream, it generally takes just a few minutes for YouTube to then upload the live stream. So if you're joining the live stream in the middle, or you're joining the live stream towards the end, and you feel you might have missed it, not to worry. It'll be published shortly after that. Also, I will also do a general update on the day, what happened in the news prior to hitting the topic of the day, just to give people time to file in. Right now we have 4 people watching. Generally, people, it takes a few minutes for them to catch on. So if they want to catch the topic of the day, which is what you need to know about the Texas Gold Bullion Depository, we'll probably get started in just a minute or so there. So in the news today, Donald Trump is in Singapore with his team, and they're pretty tight-lipped. I think Pompeo gave a press conference. We didn't say much about what they're planning on doing, what security arrangements they might offer to South Korea in exchange for denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. So not much news there. We know the Inspector General's report will be coming out. Probably Thursday or Friday. We expect to see some leaks in probably tomorrow we'll start hearing leaks. Look for things about Comey, McCabe, Strzok. I think they're the ones who were the key players in the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Now, that is what is the first Inspector General's report is going to be about. It's not going to include items relating to the Russian investigation, the FISA court applications. It's going to be dealing with the Hillary Clinton email investigation and whether that was done, quote, by the book. Well, let's get into now the topic, which is the Texas Bullion Depository. All right, so on June 6th, they opened this Texas Gold Depository. Now, this is the first state-administered precious metals depository ever in the United States. So you have private depositories, and they could be like Brinks or Loomis or Biomat. And those are private companies that will arrange to store and hold precious metals on your behalf and on behalf of institutional clients. And you send your metals there, and they agree to hold on to them. And that seems to be, a fair trade. You pay a storage fee. But what's different about the Texas Depository, it is the first state-administered one. So the depository itself is a private company. It's called Lone Star Tangible Assets. And they operate the depository, but they operate it under the auspices of the state of Texas. So the Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts has oversight. You have, in addition to a private armed security team, you have Texas law enforcement also guarding the depository. Now, the depository opened in Austin, Texas, and it's not its final resting place. In about a year, they're going to move the depository to a place called Leander, I believe, which is just north of Austin. But the depository is now open and operating, and it will allow institutions and investors and individuals. They can bring or deliver their gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and rhodium. Those are the enumerated metals that they are going to allow to be brought to the depository and held for safekeeping. And they will be insured by Lloyd's of London, and you'll get 100% insurance on your metals. So they're not going to sell you anything. They're only going to act as a place to store your gold, silver, platinum, palladium, or rhodium. Now, the other thing that is different than other depositories is that they will test your metals when they open your account. So you bring in your gold and your silver, and they'll make sure that before you put it in, because it's in their interest too, they don't want to insure 20 ounces of tungsten. I mean, they're paying to insure 20 ounces of gold, so they're going to test it for you. And this way, it's a bit of a service. And then they will put them into segregated storage, which means whatever you put in is what you're going to get back. So it's not like you gave them 20 ounces of gold, and they say, well, 20 ounces is 20 ounces. We can either give you back 20 gold bars, 1 ounce bars, or we can give you back what you gave us, maybe some gold buffaloes, maybe some gold eagles, but we only owe you 20 ounces. That's not the way it works. It's a segregated account, so what you give them, they give back to you. Now, this is different, obviously, than an ETF. When you have an ETF, they're giving you a share trade, a portion, they're claiming they're giving you a portion of, or share that represents a portion of the gold that they may have in the depository. And obviously, you don't have, in most instances, any type of redemption rights, can't actually access the gold, and also, it's not, you have no claim on any specific bar. And in fact, if you buy small amounts, you can't even think about requesting any, because they buy the large bars and they're not going to divide them up for you. So an ETF is definitely a trading vehicle. This is not. This is something that is a real depository, and the only difference is that it has the benefit of being operated and by the state, and there's oversight by the state of Texas. And Texas also helps with the security. Now, you get an account on by bringing your gold in, or your silver in, your platinum, palladium, rhodium, and you can sign up online. And they obviously, it's just like gold money. You have an encrypted platform, and you get a full accounting and also photographic evidence of what you've put in. So if you brought in 20 gold coins of a certain date, they will make sure that they are legitimate, that they've been tested as real gold, and they will also make sure that those 20 coins are what gets put in your segregated storage. Now they charge, I think the thing was 0.5% per year of the value of your precious metals on deposit. That's not that bad, but consider that every year, you leave it there for 10 years, you're going to lose 5%. You're going to pay 5% of the value of the coins that you put in. I don't see any comments yet, and generally by now I have comments. Maybe just someone let me know if you're actually hearing this. Just do a test comment in the chat. No one said that they haven't been able to hear. If not, we'll start over. As I was mentioning, the storage fee is 0.5%, and if you keep it there 10 years, you're going to pay 5% of the value. Now, you hope that the price of your metals goes higher during that period of time, so that your storage fees don't eat up that much of your investment. As I mentioned, the Texas Bullion does not buy or sell bullion, and only if you're an American citizen can you avail yourself of the Texas Bullion Depository. That's important, I guess, because they don't want foreigners coming, parking money. Oh, here we go. Gus the broker is here. Good to see you again. Working late into the wee hours of the morning. Lance and Paul from Canada, India. We have gold, enough gold in India. Recently invested in gold jewelry in India. Good to hear. Sent you a couple of videos that may not be helpful. I'll check those out. Thank you. All good. Thanks, out of face. And I'm glad the audio is good. And Larry, good to see you here. Okay. Now, this Bullion Depository, as I mentioned, is in Austin, and I think it's 23,000 square feet. It's not that big. It's big enough. It's a Class 3 facility, and they're moving to a building that's twice the size in a place called Leander, Texas, sometime in 2019. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The governor had wanted to take the gold that Texas holds. I think it's the Texas, what is it? The Texas Retirement Fund. I think Kyle Bass was one of the trustees, and I think he was responsible for actually buying the gold. And the way he bought it through COMEX futures contracts, and then he had it delivered. And there's a famous interview with him where he had asked the people at COMEX, well, what happens if everyone asks for it? And he said, well, that's not going to happen. And then he said, well, what if I ask for it? He says, we'll give it to you. And he felt more comfortable taking delivery than rather rolling his contracts over every time they expired, because the way that COMEX works, if you buy the contract, you own the right to it, and you own the right to it all that time, and then at the end of the contract, you can ask for your gold. But what most people do, if they're long gold, they feel comfortable just rolling their contract over and therefore still having the claim on the gold. What Kyle Bass did was he took delivery of the gold, and I believe they stored it in the New York Fed, and the governor was saying that at some point they can bring that gold back to Texas and put it there. But the more interesting thing was not just that they're going to take that gold and bring it back, but that they were going to work with banking partners. This gets a little dicey, I think, that would be capable of providing these COMEX metal type position and have some type of liquidity on your gold there. So obviously, if you've got silver eagles or silver rounds, gold bullion bars, you don't trade those on COMEX. They're not in a size or shape that you can trade. So when they trade the COMEX contracts, theoretically, but in actuality, they have to be backed by what they call good delivery bars. They have to be of a certain size. They have to have been assayed. And Silver Eagles don't qualify for that. Even you can put together 1,000 Silver Eagles, put together 2 monster boxes. When you trade a 1,000-ounce contract, you don't take delivery in Silver Eagles. They have to be in the good delivery bars. So it sounds like what the Texas Depository wants to do is somehow come up with some type of system working with banking partners where they would have some type of trading operation in and out of there. Still, where you have COMEX, it could end up being what they call a COMEX approved depository. So right now, the way COMEX works is there's a number of silver depositories, approved warehouses, and there's a number of gold depositories. And JP Morgan operates one, Brinks operates one. And what they do is for example, Brinks, you can send your monster boxes to Brinks and they'll hold them. But at the same time, they're also operating a COMEX approved vault where traders can keep their gold bars that are COMEX eligible to be traded on COMEX. And at the end of each day, that's when sometimes you'll see charts, people posting of the amount of gold or silver that are in COMEX vaults. They're in the vaults of the operators of these vaults that are COMEX approved, and they hold the gold and silver bars in what's called eligible and in deliverable form and registered form. And registered means that it's ready to be, someone can take delivery on that. And eligible means that it's in the form that is able to be registered. So a box of Silver Eagles is never eligible, and you can't register Silver Eagles. But the gold and silver in the proper size bars can be delivered and in the bar. So maybe what's going to happen is Texas will apply to become one of these COMEX style vaults where they will provide that service. Trump G7 meeting says this was the bankers meeting, and of course Christine gave Donald a smile. If logical, she would or should IMF and the Fed want to get Trump in bed. Christine Lagarde today said something about we're getting. Let me pull up the quote. She says it's getting really bad, and like there's dark clouds on the horizon. And that's strange because normally the IMF, all these bankers, they try to give you this rosy scenario that everything is fine. And you generally don't hear them say, we're heading in the wrong direction. But that's what she said today. Let me pull up the quote here. Now I don't know if there's something on the horizon. I mean, we've been in a situation, I think, and many believe that we've passed the point of no return where the sovereign debt of not just the United States, but of China, of ECB, Bank of Japan, Bank of England, are so far beyond and so unsustainable that at some point you figure they're going to have to collapse, but they haven't done so. So I don't know what she might be saying or no, but she also, I just remember this, she also at one point, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, she gave some very cryptic speech about the number 6, and it was really weird. Everybody thought like June 6th, and it was 2016, some big, and nothing happened. But she's really weird. She was doing this numerology thing, and nothing happened. So I don't know what she was talking about today. Why she decided today was the day that she was going to spill the beans and say something was wrong. Let me see if I can pull that quote up here. My computer is slow. I think it's because of the live stream. It's taking up all the bandwidth here. Let's see if I can get it. The quote for you there. G7 meeting. All right, here it is. No, it's not. Dogs can detect agricultural diseases early. That's interesting. Dogs, I think, can detect when people have cancer. So their nose, their snouts are very good. Oh, here's something I did want to mention while I'm looking for that. This came up today. Just see if you get some thoughts on this. I didn't know, but in the United States, up until today, if you lived in another country and you felt that you were in a domestic violence situation, or there were just a lot of crime in your neighborhood, you could actually go to the United States and apply for asylum and just say, look, my life's in danger. I have an abusive spouse. There's gangs down the street and they want to kill me. And you can come to the United States and apply for asylum. I never knew that. I always thought that asylum was that you lived in a country and your country basically wasn't protecting you. They were persecuting you. But apparently, you used to be able to say, you know, my husband beat me up or whatever, and come to the United States. Well, they stopped doing that today, and they're saying that basically domestic violence cases, gang violence, or other personal crime will no longer be allowed to seek asylum in the United States. So I didn't even know that they had done that. I think it's pretty broad. I mean, there's probably certainly a lot of instances where people would want to get the protection, but there's probably so many of them that it's unlikely that you could take them all. So they're stopping that, but that'll be another reason to label the Trump administration as heartless. Now, I can't find that article, but anyway, she was basically saying that there's a lot of, here it is. IMF's Lagarde says global economic outlook darkening by the day. Now that sounds pretty gloomy to me, especially given that all of the economic data that they put out, I mean, the official data doesn't show any type of slowing, doesn't show any type of cause for concern other than what we all say, that the cause for concern is the extreme debt. But Christine Lagarde saying that there may be some type of issue. Searching for an economical escape or continued domination, says Gus the Broken. The ECB and IMF talks continued, and if there is to be a MAGA, there should be a major confrontation on a global scale. Well, it definitely appears that Donald Trump has alienated himself on purpose against Europe and the other G7 members. Not so much Japan, but basically they went on the offensive. Not just him, but they basically said that there's a special place in hell for Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau is a backstabber. Donald Trump basically said that Justin Trudeau is, you know, big shot, big tough guy when he's away from Donald Trump, and he's meek and mild when he's in front of him. I think what's going on is they do not. You think about it this way: Europe has a massive trade surplus with the United States, and that difference in the trade surplus is probably what they could pay for their own defense. So the United States not only has a trade deficit with Europe, then they also send money to their defense. So of course they don't like the change that Donald Trump is presenting. It's not like they have free markets. They basically have protectionism there, and then they have free access to the U.S. markets. So a lot of people are criticizing Trump, I think unfairly, that somehow he's trying to introduce tariffs to the world when the tariffs are already there and they're already in against the United States' favor. My recommendation, says Blenson Paul. Now remember, Blenson is in India. What did you say you were? You said initially from Canada, India. So you could be living in Canada of Indian descent. Let me know. USA 1, cheap agricultural land and grow your own food. Always a good idea to be able to